3 up, 2 across, tap that play button 3 times, and walk through the archway into Dialogue Alley. Hello, and welcome to the show. Dialogue Alley is a podcast about Harry Potter books, book translations, and all other things magical. I am Erik from Nocturne Erik, and with me today is Carly from All the Pretty Books.
Hello.
And we have a new person with us today. We have Melanie. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, everybody.
So Melanie was on maternity leave, and she was kind of planned to be a part of this, but she is back now because her baby is a little bit older. So we're so glad you're here.
Oh, me too, guys. I'm so pumped.
Yay!
So Melanie, I think every time we have anyone on, but I mean, like, you're going to be on this from now on. So why don't you tell everybody like a little bit more about you and like your book collecting and how you got into Harry Potter and yada yada.
Well, I'm Melanie. I'm at the Harry Potter Collection on Instagram, and you could also find me at theharrypottercollection.com. And I've been collecting Harry Potter translations for about like 6 or 7 years at this point. And I have about 600 books in my collection right now. And I primarily collect translations, but I collect like full sets of the books that have unique artwork. So that's really what I'm looking for, is all of that unique art.
So you were really disappointed that the Occitan didn't go through book 7.
Oh.
You know, only having 2 of those, you know, my shelves are very happy about it because space is limited.
Yeah.
That is true. I think, Carly, you just kind of you've gotten a lot of your books put up, haven't you?
I'm to the eyes. So, and I found my Arabic and my Danish and some of my Dutch. So I've got to go and reshelve all of those and the rest of my Hungarian and some other letters J's and K's. I found J's and K's also. So, but I think all of my book collection is actually here where I'm moving into.
Well, that's fantastic. Do you have all your shelves up?
No, I'm still putting shelves together.
Did you have to buy any new shelves?
I bought 2 new ones. I'm probably going to have to buy 1 more new one, and then I have 2 others. But when you have like over 1,200 books, it's just hard.
So how many shelves are you up to now?
Well, I have 3 thin ones, and then 2 full-sized Billies, and then I have 2 more Billies that I'm putting together, and then I have 2 more Billies in storage that in San Antonio that I've got to get out.
Just for everyone, the Billy is a shelf you can buy at IKEA. It's not like a person that stands there and holds your books for you. And I didn't realize the Billy is like a very popular shelf for people to put
such a nice
book
one.
collections on.
I started out with Billy's, but then I just switched over to Hemnes when I moved to my new house.
The Hemnes is really nice too, though.
They're so nice.
Is that also IKEA?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't check that one out. Maybe I missed that one at the store.
Oh, you have to check out Hemnes.
The Hemnes and the Besta is also nice.
Oh, it's too late now. I already nailed them to the wall.
I know. I have to kid-proof these once the little nugget gets big enough.
Yes.
So
we
have to make sure they're attached.
You could do what I did, and I bought like a fireplace grate from Amazon and just set it up in front, like a giant wall in front of the shelf.
Nice.
So that my
works.
kids couldn't grab them. Yeah, it worked.
I have mine in a separate room, so I'm hoping that once she's mobile, I can just close the door and she won't be too interested.
Perfect.
Hope so.
Wow, it's episode 10. That is an amazing
That
milestone.
is fabulous. Good
Only
job,
because,
us.
like I mentioned last episode, our hosting site gives us a special email when we get to 10 episodes, and that's really outstanding. So for episode 10, we have some Harry Potter news, including the Harry Potter New York store that's opening pretty soon, which is exciting. For the main segment, we will be talking about all of the U.S. book cover artists for books 1 through 7, which there are more than one, believe it or not.
Yes, there are.
We also will have our translation of the show, like always. And maybe if we have time, we'll get to some recommendations, maybe what we're reading or watching. So,
Sounds great.
Are you two ready to get going?
Yes.
All right, let's get into some news.
Carlsen DE, who's the German publisher, they're releasing a new cover for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Harry Potter und der Stein der Weisen, February 2022. And it features more of the art from the original cover artist, Sabine Wilhelm, who I really love her art. I love the German cover art anyway, so I'm super stoked about this book. It's going to be a soft cover, and it'll be, I think, €5.99.
Not bad.
No.
Not bad. Do you know if they're doing all of them or just book one?
They just do book ones. They just have a new cover of book one.
It looks really similar to one of the other.
The one right before it. It's the same pose, and they just changed the background.
And do we know if there's anything like special inside, or is it just a different cover?
Just as far as I know, it's just a different cover.
Oh. Well, so there you go. If you really like that same picture of Harry that has been on the last 2 German editions.
And I definitely do, so I'll be buying it.
Yeah, they're really great.
Yeah, I'll get it too.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us are really into just anything that is a different art.
It's slightly different, so it counts.
There's so many German books.
I know. I'm kind of glad they're not doing all the books in that kind of cover, because I can't I have so many. I know you do too, Mel. So many German books, because all the art is so different.
They take up, I think, 4 of my shelves. Like, not my whole bookcases, but 4 shelves of my bookcases are German books.
I think I've got four shelves of German as well. Yeah.
Oof.
I know there's a German collector who mostly just collects German books. She has all of them. But she sent me a picture of her. Yeah, Lena. She sent me a picture of her bookshelf.
Lena's she's our girl.
She's our girl.
That gets us all the books.
Yeah.
She's the one who's helped us all.
She just helped me get the Beetle the Bard German hardcover.
And I believe she speaks Low German.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Which is and she's the one who helped Harrison find the Low German cover, or not Low German audiobook.
Oh, nice.
Oh, get out.
Yeah.
And I do know she actually, I think right now she's selling a rainbow box set. So if anyone's looking for that.
Ooh, we'll have to post a picture of the rainbow box set on our Instagram, Dialogue Alley podcast, because the rainbow box set is phenomenal. I think we all 3 have it.
We do.
Beautiful.
That was one of my favorite ones. I didn't realize that one's really big.
Huge.
Yes.
I got this package on my front step and it was gigantic. And I was like, oh, maybe she's threw in some snacks or something. No, it was just the books.
No, it's just, those books are massive. The German hardcover books are really big, and their box sets mean business.
Right. So I mentioned Lena because she sent me a picture of her bookshelf, and it's just one big bookshelf, but it's all the German books. And I was just looking at all the American Harry Potter books, thinking how much space would those take up? And it's not a whole lot compared to all the different German ones, because that's kind of what we're talking about today. So,
well, it's also just in size. I feel like the box set of both the 15th anniversary and the 20th anniversary are just small books because they're paperbacks, so they don't take up that much room on your shelves.
That's very
also true. And then more news really fast for all of our translation collectors. A friend of ours who's a fellow Potterhead in the community has developed an Apple Watch app called Go Talker. And there's actually an Easter egg in there if you're searching for books. In different countries, there's an Easter egg thing in there where it says, where do you find a Harry Potter book in the local language? It'll be servicing lots of different languages. I think right now it's Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese, but he's going to be adding many more languages throughout. So that should help with all your Harry Potter translation collecting needs.
It will also help you order breakfast, because I noticed that on the screenshot that he sent me.
Yes, it will help you order. There's 750 phrases. It is really fun to play with.
That's very handy.
Kind of makes me want an Apple Watch now.
It does me too, actually.
I just got a new Apple Watch.
Oh, fun!
So I'm ready to go.
Fabulous. We'll go get Go Talker. It's a really cool app. I sat and played with the app on his Apple Watch, and if I could wear one at work, I totally would. And if I were doing the traveling that I were doing a few years ago, I would have probably bought an Apple Watch just for the app.
Well, I mean, I know for me, and I'm sure for you guys too, anytime I go somewhere where it's a different language, the first thing I look for is Harry Potter books. So when I was on my honeymoon a few years ago, when we went to a bunch of different countries, and I needed to make sure we knew how to say where's the nearest bookshop in every single one of those languages. So I think Harrison's app would have been very helpful back then.
What was
Definitely.
the hardest language for you to learn that phrase in?
Well, we went to Croatia, so I think that was a bit different. Which anywhere we found bookshops, the bookshop was either closed, they didn't have the Harry Potter books, or they had American editions. It was ridiculous. But
weird.
Yeah, I got lucky in Barcelona. Barcelona, I ended up with a ton of Harry Potter books. I left with a pile of, I think, 5 or 6 different books that I didn't have, which was really cool.
How much space did you allocate, on your way over for books?
Well, we bought a suitcase right across the street from the bookshop that we were in, so we put souvenirs just in that one suitcase when we brought it back. So
that's what you do.
I definitely had that in mind when we were going, that we needed to save room for books on the way back.
Nice. So a couple other news items. The Harry Potter store is opening in New York City, and that's on June 3rd.
Yes, coming up so fast.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited. I want to try to go that first day, if not first week.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try to go. I live about an hour and a half from the city, so I am very, very hopeful that I'll be able to go the first day. If not, I'll definitely go that first weekend that
I need
open.
to come visit.
Come on down. I've got a guest room.
Yeah, you do.
When I looked up directions, like where the store was located, and I hit directions on maps, it was 15 hours and 27-minute drive starting now. And I'm like, no, I'm not actually going to drive there now. And I'd probably fly, but it's kind of hopefully I'll get there sometime soon.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you come in, I will definitely make the trip into the city so I can see you guys.
I will let you know for sure.
I mean, it's going to be massive. That's one of the first things. I think it takes up the entire block, which is that whole building. So it's gigantic, and I think it's 3 stories. And it has a lot of unique rooms that are dedicated to apparel, what you're going to wear, or stuffed animals, or different magical creatures. And there's a lot of items that are going to be things that you would find at Wizarding World of Harry Potter, things that you would find in the stores in London, but they're also going to have a lot of unique stuff just to this store as well, which is really exciting.
A lot of the screenshots that I've seen make it look like it's very cozy feeling, which just reminded me of the retail locations at the Wizarding World. Did you get that
me too.
impression as well?
Yeah, there's going to be a dirigible plum tree, an actual tree.
I'm so excited.
I can't wait. It's the little things, book
is.
things like that.
I've always
are so
wanted
exciting.
a dirigible plum.
I don't know if they're actually going to be things that you could eat, but the tree
I just
want to
see the tree and just see one.
Oh yeah, me too.
But don't they have things that you can eat there, don't they? Or at least drink?
I believe so. I believe it's going to be similar to the experience at the Warner Brothers tour in London where you could get butterbeer, you could get chocolate frogs, and you could get a bunch of other yummy things there too. So I cannot wait to go. It's going to be a whole day thing.
Oh, and I'm sure we'll talk about it on here when you do go, because we'll get the full review experience. That'll be exciting.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait. Last bit of news is Vera Bradley had last year at some point they released a Harry Potter exclusive pattern. So this past week they just released their second pattern, which is gray, and it features more herbology stuff. So it has a lot of mandrake themes throughout it. And they also released some new bags as well, and blankets, and a lot of going back to school stuff too, which is really cool. I know I have a tote bag from them that I love that has the original print. So I'm just kind of scoping everything out before I decide what I want to get from this new collection, but it's really nice. And if you're ever looking for a Harry Potter bag that doesn't scream Harry Potter, then Vera Bradley stuff is where it's at.
Very awesome.
Can you get that online?
Yeah, oh for sure.
Okay.
I actually don't even know if you could get it in the store, probably, but yeah, you could definitely get them at verabradley.com. They have everything.
Awesome. Well, if you like subtle Harry Potter apparel,
yeah, they've got your back.
They've got your back, literally, because you said they have bags. And
they
backpacks.
do have backpacks.
Yeah.
So.
right. Well, I think that's all we have for the news. We had a lot of news items this
We had
time.
a lot of news this go round.
Yeah. Well, hey, episode 10, we're pulling it all out here.
That's right.
All the stops. All right, so let's move into our main segment for episode 10.
So for today's main segment, we're going to be talking about all of the different U.S. book cover artists. So specifically, we're looking at Scholastic's prints for different Sorcerer's Stone versions. So there are actually a lot of them.
Yep.
Which is really cool. So first up, we have the cover art that everyone pretty much knows and loves is the Mary GrandPLAY art.
She's the one, for those who don't know, Mary GrandPLAY is the one who did the first edition hard and soft cover U.S. Harry Potter books 1 through 7.
Right.
I would argue that is like
I would say they're iconic.
The iconic Harry Potter book cover. I know the Thomas Taylor UK version one is like really well known. Maybe in Europe, there's still a lot of European covers that use the Mary GrandPLAY
There are.
art.
Oh,
so
for sure.
I would wager to say that Mary GrandPLAY cover of Harry trying to catch the snitch is like one of the iconic.
I would
covers,
agree.
period.
I've actually had
Yeah.
people ask me which came first, the Thomas Taylor or the Mary GrandPLAY, because they met Mary GrandPLAY's cover art first. So then we had to
Right.
discuss like publication and all of that stuff.
Sure. And
Yeah.
not only did she do the cover art for books 1 through 7, there are other books that we'll mention here as well, but she did, like, every chapter of every book has an illustration in there as well that she
Mhm.
drew.
And a lot of the translations can't have those same internal illustrations at the chapter head.
Well, even the 15th anniversary and the 20th anniversary,
Yep.
which are different cover artists, still have the Mary GrandPLAY cover art or
Yep.
chapter art, which is really cool. Yeah.
It's interesting how they were able to swing that legally.
And also, like, I find that to be slightly disappointing because I would have really liked to see for the 15th and the 20th, like, their interpretation of the chapter art.
I agree. I would have loved to have seen, because they're such good, like the 15th and the 20th, those are fabulous illustrators.
And they're so different. So
Very.
different. So that would have been very interesting.
Let's just mention all the different versions of Sorcerer's Stone that Mary GrandPLAY has illustrated. So you already mentioned the first one, Harry catching the snitch on the broom with kind of that brick archway, super iconic, gold foil, shiny cover, hard and soft cover. It's awesome. But there was
Yep.
also a 10th anniversary of the Sorcerer's Stone, which I think, I don't know, almost to me rivals how cool
It's
the
very
first one is.
moving. It's a very,
Oh, I
like,
love
it's
it.
very emotive. Like, it, for me, it's a lot more of a reflective cover. It makes me sit and think back, and it kind of hits me right in my feels.
This cover, for those that haven't seen it, it's Harry just looking into the mirror of Erised, and it's very, like, it's big. Like, Harry's big. He takes up like
Yeah.
most of the cover. And I saw this for the first time in a bookstore on Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and I didn't know it was a thing. And I saw it and I was like, oh, I need to buy this book. And I did, obviously. So that
Yep.
was nice.
I found mine actually in a used bookstore, and I didn't know what it was. I didn't know that 10th anniversary was a thing. I just saw the book and I was like, I must buy this. It was $14. I bought it, and then I learned what it was after the fact, but I just knew I had to have it. And the boards are beautiful. It's red boards with gold stars and nice, like, symmetrical
Oh yeah, I forgot
lines.
about that.
It has like those iconic, like the chapter stars, like
Yep.
the 3 stars together. It's those stars, but as gold stars on the boards. It's so pretty.
It is. It's probably my favorite boards of any of the books.
I could agree with that. I also like that, like the back of the book is the same as the front of the book, just zoomed out. So you see like a bit more of the Mirror of Erised. You can kind of see like a silhouette of Harry seeing his parents in the Mirror of Erised.
Mhm.
It's just a gorgeous book. I didn't get this one until like when I first started collecting. The first thing I wanted to collect was like, oh my gosh, there are so many different US editions of Harry Potter. So I have to get all the different US ones. So I think this was one of the first ones that I got when I started collecting, just so I could
Oh,
have all
neat.
the different US art.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is definitely the first one I bought that was beside just the regular 1 through 7 that we all know, right? And
Yeah.
and this book also has some like Has one or two pictures on the inside that are like fully colored. Do you remember?
Yes.
I know there's at least one.
Yeah.
There's at least one. I think there may be two.
Yeah, there's one at the front that's it's going over the lake, like Hagrid holding a lantern going over the lake, and you see like Hogwarts off in the distance. It's beautiful. Like the colors just match the book really nicely. I think that's the only one. I have it in front of me, so
there's also like a sketch of Snape, but that was done by J.K. Rowling.
Yes. That's it there as well.
So Mary GrandPLAY also did probably my favorite of her illustrations is actually the Scholastic School Market edition, which, I mean, this book and the one we just talked about could probably be a whole episode, so we shouldn't spend too much time on it. But that book in itself is just amazing. Plus,
it's spectacular.
For me, that was like when I was reading the book, that moment in the book is when it became real to me that Harry was in fact a wizard and going to Hogwarts.
I think out of all of the US books, it's my favorite cover art. It actually it's in my top 5 favorite cover arts, probably in all of the books that I have on my shelves, I would say. I love it that much.
Yeah, it's definitely one of mine.
I think that one is, I would say that's probably the most valuable cover art version, right? I mean, like, obviously,
of Mary GrandPLAY, yeah.
Yeah, not like a first of the Sorcerer's Stone, but just the art itself. That's probably the hardest one to find because it was such a limited market.
Right. For the school market was in 2008 and they were selling them at the Scholastic book fairs. And then for whatever reason, Scholastic nixed that. And these boxes of books were just packed up and not sold at the book fairs. So a lot of them, when you find them, aren't read. Or if you find one that's read, it's actually kind of more rare than not.
Yeah, I think when I first discovered the book, it was from a collector on YouTube who had received a whole box of them, like brand new, never touched, like beautiful books. And I remember being so jealous and messaging him saying, where do I get this book? And, you know, they pop up on eBay every so often, but a lot of times, you're right. They're either in pristine condition or like very beat up with a kid's name written in the front because they got it at a book fair. So.
And interestingly, the Scholastic School Market book, that and the 10th anniversary, those are the only Mary GrandPLAY covers that aren't on other translations or book editions.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. Because
the 1 through 7, the art that we know, like we talked about earlier, that's over so many different translations the world over. Like so many people around the world know that cover. But the School Market and the 10th anniversary, it's only on those books. So if you want those covers, you have to buy those particular editions.
Right. Yeah. So let's briefly mention just a couple. There's the mass market paperbacks, which we can post pictures of. They're nothing super exciting, but they are interesting. We have the collector's editions of book 1 and 2, which we've mentioned before, Carly. Those are the leather-bound books with the plastic shield on them that look pretty cool, but like are made very poorly, so they fall apart really quickly. And then, Melanie, what are these Book Expo of America edition?
Those are so cool.
So cool. So they only did this for book 5, which was really interesting. So I know you guys talked about in episode 8, you mentioned the deluxe editions, which are those books that come with the slipcover. So they did this for book 5 back in 2004 at the Book Expo of America. And they made a paperback version of the same cover art that you see in the deluxe edition of Order of the Phoenix. So it has an owl flying over Grimmauld Place, which is really cool. And it's pretty unique because it's just that book is the only one that has that cover art in a paperback form. And there aren't any other editions of the book that matched to that. There isn't a book 6 with that kind of cover art as a paperback. So it's only for Order of the Phoenix. And it's special just to the Book Expo of America. And those books, there were only 5,000 of them. So that's also interesting too, that we know the number of them. Yeah.
And that's one that I feel should actually be valued at more than it is. It's just, I think a lot of people still don't know what it is. And it looks like the deluxe. And I think there's a lot of confusion between the two. But they're super awesome. Also,
I don't have one, so maybe I should get one now.
You should.
People don't know how much.
But you have to be careful because I've seen people try to sell those as actually advanced copies or proof copies. advanced reader copies of book 5, and that's just not a thing.
Right. That does not exist.
Nope. It does not. So, watch that. But you can snag them. I think there was one up on eBay. And I'm glad we covered this because I've had several people ask me questions about this exact book this past week.
Look at that. Amazing.
Look at that. And now you have me wanting to go buy one. So
it's an amazing book. I actually think I bought mine from Carly.
I think you did. I think it was like 2014.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. I probably bought mine from you.
It's such a neat book, especially with the letters. Like, the only writing at the bottom is just scholastic and red, and it just is really fabulous.
So, unlike me, I think Melanie has met all of the illustrators that we're talking about. I think, Carly, have you met all of them?
I've met none of them. No. Oh. I lied.
Yes,
I met Kawishi.
I was saying you met one, but I've met none of them.
You weren't, Carly, I thought you were at Celebration with Brian Selznick, too. I thought you met him.
No. I was at Celebration. I didn't get to meet him.
He did like a signing. So that was like the first time I met Brian Selznick was at Celebration of Harry Potter. That was back in 2018 was the year that he was there. And he was so nice. It was right before the books were released. They had just been teased, the covers. So we didn't really know completely what to expect from him. We just knew we knew they were going to be in black and white. That was the only thing that he had shown everybody at that point. So he was really excited too, because he's also a really big Harry Potter fan.
Yes.
So I met him then, and then also in the city a few years ago, he did a Q&A that Mary GrandPLAY was supposed to be at also. So I was so bummed that she backed out like at the last minute, but it was really neat just kind of getting to focus and ask Brian Selznick questions. And in classic Hermione fashion, the second they asked like for questions, like my hand shot in the air.
I was going to say, what questions did you ask? Because I would love to sit and chat with him.
I asked, he was a little bit overwhelmed because he had just finished doing the set. I asked him if he were to be asked to do like the 25th anniversary set, what would he do differently? And I think I think his answer was just that, it was a pretty huge undertaking. For those of you who haven't like seen Brian Selznick's whole set, you take all of the covers of all 7 books and put them together and they make one huge image. And the actual image isn't even really too big if you think about it.
No.
So he does everything in pencil with like a magnifying glass, like super careful, super detailed. And it took him a crazy amount of time to be able to do all of our covers. So I think I overwhelmed a little bit with the idea of doing more cover art. But one thing that I did find interesting that he said was that he did the covers in black and white because first of all, it's never been done before for the US covers. All of them have been in color. And also he likes the fact that when you read a book, so much is left to the imagination. So when you do a book in black and white, you still have that aspect of imagination where you can kind of pick what you think the colors would look like. Whereas if you look at Mary GrandPLAY, okay, I know that Harry's eyes are green and I know that his hair is black because that's how she drew it on her cover. So it was super, super interesting, just his interpretation of everything.
Yes.
Oh, I love Brian Selznick. And
it was actually Mel who got me my Brian Selznick signed book.
I did. I brought as many Brian Selznick books as I could carry to his Q&A. And when I went up to have him sign everything, he knew about us. Like, he knew about the collector community and he knew about translation collectors.
Oh, neat.
He had mentioned a few of us. I know a friend of ours had done an interview with him recently before I had met him at that point. And he definitely knew of us and was pretty excited when I mentioned that I was a translation collector too, and he finds it so fascinating, our whole community. So
and his awesome. And his covers are on a few translations now.
Yeah,
they are. Belarusian jumped on board right away.
Danish is one.
Didn't they do like Italian, French hardcover
and French?
Yeah, the hardcover box set is gorgeous.
I need to buy that still.
I know that just reminded me that I also need to buy that.
Yep. So that's what we'll be doing after the podcast.
Exactly. So I met him. I met Mary GrandPLAY at another celebration. that was like a pretty quick one. But she signed all 3 of her different illustrations for Sorcerer's Stone, which was cool. So I have the original cover art for the first edition. I have the 10th anniversary and the Scholastic School Market all signed by her, which is really cool.
That's really cool. I would doubt that many other people at that event would have brought all 3 of those books.
They probably wouldn't have had those books to bring.
Right.
I would have thought that she would have had like a bigger reaction seeing that book, being like, oh, I don't see many of these around. But I guess she was just like not really fazed. It was actually that day or the day after that was when I met Carly in person for the first time.
Oh my, that was such a fun time.
I know.
We surprised, so Peter.
You surprised me.
Yeah, like we'd cooked up this plan. I'd found this ticket the night before. It was bought like literally probably 8 hours before I was flying out, if not less. And Peter had found the ticket. He was going in to meet you, and you know that was going to happen.
Right.
But we concocted this plan. I bought this really cheap plane ticket into Orlando. I left at I flew out of Austin. I lived in San Antonio at the time. I drove 90 miles to the airport. Flew out at 7 in the morning. I don't think I went to bed the night before. And flew in, and Peter picked me up, and I went to the Starbucks in Universal City Walk and met Melanie for the first time, and she was so surprised.
You didn't even have to duck that much because you're so tiny.
I didn't duck at all.
I
I just sat there in the bench. You didn't even see me.
I didn't see you until you walked out, and it was just the best surprise I think I've ever had.
And then I flew out at 5 o'clock that same day.
What a good day that was. We just sat in a Panda Express and live chatted on Instagram and such a blast. What a good day.
Every time I go to Universal now, I always go to that booth.
It's so
nostalgic.
nostalgic.
And if someone's sitting there, do you make them leave?
No, I just look at them and they think I'm weird.
You just stand and wait until they leave.
That's my booth.
It's my booth. We had a moment there.
Move.
History
All right. happened here. It was so much fun.
So we've covered the Mary GrandPLAY art. I think we covered the Brian Selznick cover art for the 20th anniversary edition. But there was also a 15th anniversary edition of all books 1 through 7.
And that's Katsu Kibuishi, and he's fabulous. I went to a talk that he did with Xander, another collector friend of ours, in Austin. I think it was BookFest 2019, and he was so much fun. And Xander brought he brought a box set and probably almost every single Kibuishi book that he had, and he signed them all. If I would have known, he would have signed, the rules were, it was you had to buy a book from the event to get it signed. And so I actually did. I bought one of his amulet books, and he doodled in it for me, which was super cool. And then I brought my Armenian Philosopher's Stone because I love the Armenian covers.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the best one because it's hardcover and the font and the title is glittery, and shiny.
So I brought that and I was like, it'll be the only, Katsu Kibuishi signed Armenian. And Xander brought the same book. I thought sure he was going to bring the Greek Katsu Kibuishi, and he brought the Armenian for the same reason I did, and that he thought it was just beautiful.
Great minds.
He let me go first in the signing, and Kibuishi was like, what language is this? Russian? And I was like, no, it's Armenian. And he thought that was so cool.
Don't you know what an Armenian script looks like? Come on.
Oh, man.
He was delightful. And listening to him talk was really fun, too.
So let's talk a little bit about the illustrations of these books, because it's a stark contrast, at least in my opinion, from the Mary GrandPLAY. And these are the first books that we got in the United States that were not Mary GrandPLAY illustration. So I remember being super excited when I saw these. I think I saw them at Target. I was just walking down some aisle and I was like, hey, there's new art. And this was before I was really super into collecting as much as I am now. But I mean, I had to buy them anyway because they were new Harry Potter illustrations. And I wanted to see, what each book looked like. And it was exciting because it was the first time we've really gotten more illustrations.
The design on the spine actually makes one solid picture when they're lined up, which is really awesome.
Yeah. They're beautiful.
The backs of the books actually have a pivotal quote from each book. And a really nice illustration on the back too that correlates to that particular book. I think he's just such a good artist, and I love all of the blue notes. I was gonna buy them all anyway because that's what I do, but I love his Chamber of Secrets and of course his Sorcerer's Stone. I love the moments he chose.
I agree with that. It's interesting too. So I got to meet him at LeakyCon, and he showed pictures of like original concepts versus what the books actually turned out to be. I know he had shown originally the cover art for Chamber of Secrets was supposed to have a giant phoenix across the front, like carrying them out, which is similar to what we have for the Mary GrandPLAY cover art. But then he ended up going with the Blue Ford Anglia, which is just as iconic, I think. But it's just so cool to like that he had so many different ideas going for it. And his style is so unique and so different from Mary GrandPLAY.
Thinking about the spine picture, so like Carly mentioned, if you put all of these books 1 through 7 in order, they make a big picture of Hogwarts Castle, which is really cool. Kind of what Carly, what the Taiwanese books are aiming for.
Yes.
The new ones, like I would wager to say that is where the illustrator of those books got this idea, was from the Kibuishi spines.
Speaking of, we need to get the new ones of those. I think 3 and 4 are out, aren't they?
Yeah, they're out. We should order those.
I need all of those. Those are on my catch-up list. So when you guys order, if we want to save on shipping, like I am all about that.
Sounds like a plan. And they come really quickly. It's amazing.
Nice. I'll get in on that.
Sounds good. What I was going to mention is I have a couple of the translations, like you mentioned, Greek, use the same art. I don't have more than book 1 of any of the translations that use that, but I noticed, at least on the book 1s that I have, that the amount of the spine image on the book differs depending on which translation that you use.
It does. And there's been at least 2 printings of the Armenian, because the first print Armenian they use a different part of the spine image than the second.
Right. And so I was curious if either of you two have, like, I don't know if you each have like 7 books from a different language, from multiple languages, so you could mix and match.
They're all different heights, though.
I know, like put them together and just see if it's even close or if it's just totally different.
I'm looking at my shelves. The only reason why I don't is because it was originally printed in the US, so in my head, like, it's not unique to anywhere else. So I only have book 1. Like, Armenian, for example, was printed with Kazu Kibuishi art. So I have that book, but I don't have the whole set because it's not unique to Armenian, if that makes sense. Those are my Melanie's collector rules.
Well, I think you have to have rules because otherwise you buy absolutely everything, and we don't have money or space for absolutely everything. So
that is correct.
There's no way to do it. So we talked about the Mary GrandPLAY art, and then chronologically we have the 15th anniversary Kibuishi, which we just covered. We've already talked about the 20th anniversary Brian Selznick box set. And in between there, this isn't unique to the United States, but the Jim Kay Scholastic Illustrated Edition cover is different than the United Kingdom Bloomsbury edition.
Right.
Ever so slightly.
Just, we have the different fonts, I think, is, like, pretty much the only difference. We have, like, the classic Harry Potter after movie font on our US books, and they use a more block type font on the Philosopher's Stone version, but other than that, they're basically the same book. They're the same.
When Carly and I talked about the Goblet of Fire differences when we did that video, Carly, do you remember that on YouTube?
I do.
Man, I forgot all about that. But we did mention how the US books with the movie font have, like, it takes up way more space, so it does cover up some more of the illustration underneath.
Yes.
That's the only real difference I can conceivably think about. Otherwise, they're exactly the same.
They're the same. It's the same picture, just slightly different.
And then there's another illustrated edition, the Minalima 2020 hardcover edition. And Carly, we've talked about this before as well, because the Chamber of Secrets one is available for pre-order now
Yes, and I can't. I've already done that. I'm just so excited.
And I'm saying it now, and I realize that I haven't done it yet. So
You didn't do it last time either.
I know. I keep forgetting.
I'll probably remember in like August and be like frantically searching back in my emails to see if I pre-ordered it. And then when I realize I didn't, then I'll probably pre-order
We'll
it in
remind you that
August
you didn't.
Thank you. I really appreciate that because my brain is so fried. But I definitely want another signed copy. Like, that was so cool to get that with the UK edition. I don't have that with the US edition, but I made sure to get the US edition like from my Barnes and Noble like the day it came out, and I bought,
that's
like,
what I
3
did
of
too.
them.
I think that's what me and Erik both did because I wanted one I could flip through.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then one to put on my shelves.
Oh,
Yeah.
what a good book.
And we mentioned as well, like, if you want a book signed by the illustrator, pre-ordering this from the UK is like the easiest way to get one that is signed by the illustrator. I mean, it just arrives signed. You don't have to venture out of your home or wait in the line.
No, and it's just the cost of a new book plus shipping.
Yeah, which the shipping is a little bit steep. It's almost doubles the price of the book, but it's not.
Yeah,
it's not crazy by any means.
No,
but I will say for all of the illustrators that we've mentioned, Mina Lima is probably the easiest to get a hold of. Besides the fact that you could get them to you just buy a copy online, but they go to so many events and they're very
they're so nice.
They're so personable. So they sign so many things. I've been to tons of events where it just so happens that they're there. I think I went to New York Comic Con one year and they had a Mina Lima booth set up, and I was like, oh wait, there's them right there. Like they're just hanging out, and there was no one in line. So I just went up. I was like, why is there no one here? You guys are amazing. So I guess people didn't realize at the time who they were, but
I want to go to their shop so much in London.
Well, I think that there's a Mina Lima area in the new New York
There
store.
is. That was on one of
good
the
to know.
screenshots they released.
Yep. So
I bet they'll be doing stuff there too.
I'm sure they will.
Or maybe they're like manning the cash registers in there, like at the Comic-Con booth. Like they're in charge of that store.
And we may want to say who Mina Lima are for those who don't know.
They are the graphic designers for all of the Harry Potter movies. So anytime you see one of those iconic artifacts from the movies, whether it's a platform 9 3/4 ticket or a chocolate frog box or the Marauders map, they are the designers and the masterminds behind that. So when they came out with this book, I think everyone was really excited to see what they were going to come up with.
Definitely.
The big one that I always think of is like the This Wizard is Wanted, like the wanted posters for Azkaban. Like they did those as well. And like any of the stuff in the Daily Prophet, like all of like those arrangements, like that was what I was envisioned right away when I would hear Mina Lima thrown around. So when they announced they're doing a book, it was like, oh,
we've got without question, it's just a buy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There was zero hesitation.
So of all of these books, well, actually, do we want to talk about the advanced reader copies really quick?
Well, I would just say that the advanced reader copies it's just another edition, US editions that you could get are the advanced reader copies. They're only out for books 1 through 3. Books 1 and 2 feature the same cover art as the first editions, but the books themselves are slightly different. But the advanced reader copies are other books that could be discussed in great length, I think, in future episodes as well.
It's such a big topic.
Do we know though for Prisoner of Azkaban, it's just the black and purple diamonds. Did Mary GrandPLAY draw those diamonds?
I don't know. That would be, if I ever got to do a Q&A with her, maybe like that would be the question. Yeah,
I'd be like, was it your idea to do the diamonds?
Did you choose the specific shade of purple that they used for that?
Why diamonds? Why not other shapes? What's wrong with the crescent moon? So just recapping all of these different artists, they're all fantastic. Every book has its own unique style, its own unique flair, and it really is just kind of a joy to look at each of these as just works of art in general, as opposed to just reading the book inside, right? I mean, there's something to have to look at, which I enjoy as a translation collector, just having different art to look at on my shelf. So thank you to these wonderful people. And maybe we should mention, are these easy to get still? Like I know the GrandPLAY ones are still in print. You can find them at your stores. But what about like the Kibuishi ones? Are they still in print?
Yeah, you can buy them at Barnes & Noble. You can buy any of the box sets at Barnes & Noble. Brand new, still in plastic.
I don't know if I've seen the Kazu Kibuishi ones in a while. I know that probably relatively recently I've seen the whole box set of the 15th anniversary. Definitely see the 20th anniversary on shelves, but you're not going to see the 10th anniversary Mary GrandPLAY, Just of Sorcerer's Stone. That one's going to be a bit trickier to find. And definitely the Scholastic School Market is something that you're going to have to be on the deep lookout for. They pop up on eBay every so often, but like we were saying, it's either in pristine condition or it's in very well-loved condition. So
right.
You just have to be on the lookout for the perfect book for you.
Yes. So hooray for artists. We like artists.
Yay.
And translators, but also artists. And speaking of translators, I think we should move on to the translation of the show.
All right.
Okay, so the translation of the show this week is Greek. From Greece and Cyprus. Hooray. Those are the only two countries where Greek is an official language. Greek is also spoken in other European countries, mostly Italy, Albania, and Turkey. It uses the Greek alphabet, which is fantastic. So if you were in a fraternity or sorority, you could maybe identify a few letters of this book. Other than that, they're very different than other books as well. And I think Greek is the only language that uses the Greek alphabet, which would make sense. But I might be wrong. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, what's cool about Greek, by the by, like from a linguistic nerd like myself, is that the names have a determiner in front of them. Like that's why it's O Harry Potter on the Greek title. You don't have that in ancient Greek. I've seen that in one of the languages as far as like the determiner. Luxembourgish has that. It's Der Harry Potter.
So should I be calling you O Carly?
Oh, Erik.
Oh, Carly. Oh, Melanie. Should we be calling each other Oh, Carly?
Hey, it's cool. Like, it's not a common linguistic feature, and Greek does that.
That's true. As opposed to, I believe Lithuanian adds a suffix to each of the names.
Yes.
But, well, I think did we talk about
Czech
that before?
does that too, don't they? Or no? I would have to look.
I'd have to look too. But this Greek edition came out pretty early on with the translations, I believe.
Yes, it did.
I think it was 1998. My book says 2001. So I think that's just when my book is printed. But
I have
was
a
it
pre-movie that I can, when I find it, I can tell you.
That pre-movie is like a holy grail. That book is so hard to find.
It is. I was very fortunate.
Well, and Melanie, I know you practiced the names here.
Now you're putting me on the spot too. Wait, it's been a while since I listened to it. The publisher. Sojios is what I think. Xander will probably hear this and probably like
shake his
be
head,
writhing as I say that. But I don't know. That's what good old fashioned Google told me is how you say the publisher. But one interesting fact that I did find was that there's a different translator for book 1 versus the rest of the series, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, I always wonder like what happened.
And I believe book 2 has a letter in it from either the publisher or the translator. It's book 2 or book 1. Xander and I actually spent time discussing it. I think it's book 2.
Huh.
I think he translated it for us, but I could be wrong.
Is the letter like apologizing for the first translator introducing the second one?
No.
Oh, good.
It was really cool. I want to say it was book 2, but I could be wrong. We discussed this, probably 2017, summer 2017, so a while ago.
So the original cover of this translation has the Thomas Taylor artwork, which is, of course, the other iconic Harry Potter artwork from the United Kingdom. We talked about it last episode where Harry's standing in front of the Hogwarts Express with a very perplexed expression on his face.
Yes.
And this particular one that I have, I don't know, Carly, I'm assuming the pre-movie one would as well have the brown-beard wizard on the back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, and I don't think any of the Greek ones have Dumbledore on the back.
I have 2 Greek Philosopher's Stones, so when I can find them, I'll tell you.
Okay, because my only other Greek is the Kibuishi one.
I also have the adult Greek.
Is it the adult UK cover Greek?
Yeah.
Or did they is it like a scenic, like scene?
No, it's the adult UK cover Greek. It's actually really hard to find. Like, the Greek books aren't super easy to find, especially in alternate covers.
Yeah, I got this. I got the Thomas Taylor one from somebody, a collector of some sort. And I don't remember who. I wish I could so I could thank them. But I got my other Kibuishi one from a neighbor who was actually going to Greece. And he got me one at the airport. Also, my wife's best friend went to Greece on vacation. And she found a bookstore for me. She had the book in her hand. She was at the cash register. And they only accepted cash. They didn't accept her credit card. And she didn't have any cash.
No.
So she had to leave the book. And I think she was on a cruise. She had to leave the book and just walk away because she didn't have time to go get cash and go back
that's
before
such
she
a
had to be back on the
shame.
boat.
What a bummer.
And at that point, I didn't have Greek yet. So she was like, so I almost got you the book. I was about as close as I could have gotten to getting you Greek. But I applaud her effort. She did everything she could have.
Yeah, she did it all right. Just he didn't take her debit card.
So where did you two get your first Greek versions, if you remember?
I don't know.
I think I got different cover art first. And then I got the Thomas Taylor probably on eBay, I think. Or I got it from Carly. Most of my books are somehow, some way from Carly in some way, shape, or form.
So does that mean all the books I bought from you, Melanie, are probably from Carly too?
I don't know about that. Well, I know for a fact you got Sinhala from me. Sinhala, yep. I'm pretty sure I got from Peter.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure I got the original Romanian one from you as well.
Yeah, that one I think I got on my own.
And I think I also got a Cyrillic Serbian from you. Soft cover.
That I got on my own as well. So, all right, I could pat myself on the back a little bit. I didn't get all my books from Carly. Only some of the pretty books, not all of the pretty books from Carly.
Did I mention, and this is like a great way to conclude this, that there are 13.5 million speakers of Greek?
Oh, cool.
Opa. There are also, the article I read, there are lots of pockets of communities of Greek speakers all over the world, not just the countries that we mentioned. Greece, Cyprus, Italy, Albania, Turkey. We mentioned that the United States has actually quite a few Greek speakers in it
They
as
do.
well,
I've met a lot of Greek speakers here.
I have not met any. I've met people that go to Greek Orthodox churches, and I went to a service that was entirely in Greek. I went to a wedding that was all in Greek. That was pretty exciting.
Oh, that is neat.
Wow.
But neither of the bride nor groom's family spoke Greek. But the whole thing was in Greek, and I had like a 10-page like pamphlet I had to like follow along with.
Okay.
And it was all done in a sing-song way. So it was actually pretty entertaining.
Nice.
All right, so we're going to talk about anything that we're currently reading or watching or anything that we're currently enjoying. So, okay. Carly, are you enjoying anything at the moment?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I am rereading A Girl Named Zippy by Haven Kimmel.
I don't know anything about Zippy.
It is I love memoir. And it is a memoir about a young girl growing up in Moreland, Indiana in the 60s and 70s. And it is really precious. And if you get the audiobook, the author is also the reader. And I enjoy her voice, one. And two, I think it adds an extra dimension to hear the author tell their own stories in their own voice. So I listen to the audiobook quite a bit. It's one of the ones that I reread probably at least every 6 months or so. And I actually just finished the sequel to A Girl Named Zippy called And She Got Off the Couch or something like that. Really, really, really good memoir. It's won a lot of awards, I believe. Or at least nominated for them. And it's actually, like at least at my university, Texas Tech, it was one of the benchmarks for memoir that a lot of professors looked to as far as like what was good.
Well, I feel like if you like memoirs, you either have already read it or you have seriously missed out. So get to it,
Yes.
memoir fans. Melanie, what are you enjoying at the moment?
Well, we're always in a constant loop of re-listening to the Harry Potter books. I think my husband and I are up to book 5. But I'm currently watching Lost for the second time, which has been incredibly nostalgic because I loved Lost when I was in high school. So I'm always looking for something to binge watch because I've been home on maternity leave for the past 10 weeks. So that's what I've been binging. So I'm hoping that I'm able to finish it a little bit before I have to go back to work. It's not looking good, but I'm trying.
Hey,
There's a lot of
That's
Lost.
what those late nights are for, right?
That's
Baby's
right.
awake, turn on Lost.
That's right.
And I am also in a constant loop of Harry Potter audiobooks. I am currently on book 7, the Jim Dale version, and Rufus Grimjaw has just appeared at the Burrow to firmly ask Harry, Ron, and Hermione about the Dumbledore will.
Oh.
I like that part.
It's a good part.
Mm-hmm.
Although
They're all good parts.
They're all, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That's true. And I'm currently watching, well, I guess I'm not watching it anymore. I finished the 4-part miniseries on Netflix. This is a robbery about the art theft of the Gardner Museum in Boston.
Ooh, interesting.
So for those that don't know, it's like one of the biggest art thefts that has ever happened ever. A lot of very famous paintings were stolen, some Rembrandts and others. And they still don't know who did it for sure, and they've never found the art.
Wow. Wow.
And if you go to the museum, the most haunting thing of the whole show is that if you still go to the Gardner Museum in Boston, like the frames are all just still there and they're empty from like where all the stolen paintings were.
Very interesting.
So if you like those kind of docuseries shows, I would highly recommend it. Although spoiler alert, like there's really no resolution at the end. But I knew that going in because...
Right. We don't know who did it anyway.
Yeah. That's not a secret that you don't know who did it. All right. So, unfortunately, we don't have any time for listener mail today. But if you would like to send us some listener mail that we can get to on a future episode, you can do it in a few ways. You can email us at dialoguealleypodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us a message at Dialogue Alley Podcast on Instagram. And if you always want to ask a question to one of the 3 of us now that you don't want read out loud, you can send it to either of those 2 sites, or you can get in contact with any of us directly on any of our social media platforms. So you can find me on Instagram at Nocturne Erik, knock like on a door, and Erik with a K. And Melanie actually helped me come up with that Instagram name way back when I started. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. We came up with some really good ones, but Nocturne Erik was like, once we came up with that, there was no going back from it.
There was no going back. So I was not into Instagram, and then Harry Potter book collecting got me into Instagram, and Melanie got me into Instagram. So thank you for that.
Oh, anytime.
Yeah. So where can people find both of you on social media?
You can find me at the Harry Potter Collection on Instagram, or you can check out my website, theharrypottercollection.com.
And I believe, Melanie, you have, along with Carly, you have a lot of great pictures of not only the books that we talked about today, but a lot of other translations as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's pretty up to date as far as translations, and it also has all of the U.S. editions that we talked about today are up on my website. So yeah, you can definitely check them out there.
Nice. And I would recommend people listening go do that instead of me taking pictures of every single book of every single artist that we talked about and posting them on the Instagram page. I'll post a few just generic ones of some of the books on there. But yeah, if you want more details, I would definitely recommend checking out Melanie's website. And Carly, where can people find you?
You can find me All the Pretty Books on Instagram. You can find me All the Pretty Books on YouTube, All Pretty Books on Twitter, and of course my website, alltheprettybooks.net, and actually alltheprettybooks.co.uk.
Fantastic. And you can find this podcast, Dialogue Alley, on Apple, Google, and all your other favorite podcast hosting locations, including Pandora, which we still don't have anyone that's listened to it on Pandora. Actually,
Yay!
No, false. I had one of my friends text me that he listened to it on Pandora just because he heard that no one had. So
that was very kind.
Very kind of him. And if you actually like what you listen to here, which hopefully you do because you're on episode 10, so
Which is a big deal.
It is a big deal. Consider leaving a review for our show on whatever site you listen to our show on. That would be very helpful for us. And also consider maybe sharing it with a friend or two that also might be interested in Harry Potter books, or just listening to three people talk about stuff. With that being said, that concludes episode 10 of the Dialogue Alley podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Now it is time to walk back through the archway into our daily lives, and we will talk to you next time on Dialogue Alley.
Bye.